see the mantra number in Ved Vivechan class. Mantra number 61, and there is a one part from one mantra 3.1 and the other one from 1.95. So Rishi Vishwamitra and Rishi Angiras Kuts. प्रकृति के सभी नियम अग्नि के अधीन हैं। सूर्य के रूप में अग्नि सबकी शासक है। सूर्य ही प्रकृति को संयमित करता है और संसार का प्राकृत चक्र चलाता है। अग्नि का महत्व सृष्टि चक्र में आंका नहीं जा सकता। ऋतस्य योनः वश्यद दमूनः, ये संयमी अग्नि प्राकृत नियमों के मूल में है। ऋतून प्रशासद विदधावनुष्टुः, अग्नि सूर्य रूप में ऋतुओं का प्रशासक और कल्याण करता है। पांच देव में अग्नि का कथा महत्व खास, उसके ही तो कारणे चक्र सृष्टि रास। ऋतुओं का जो चक्र है वह सूर्य अधीन। ग्रीष्म वर्षा शरद जो वा शिशिरलोचीन, जो लाभ हैं सूर्य के गिन सके नहीं कोई। मिट जाए यदि सूर्य कभी नाश ही होए। क्यों मिटेगा सूर्य कभी, वह तो ईश अधीन। प्रकृति के जो नियम हैं उनको पालत चीन। ईश्वर सृष्टि रची जो भाई, उसमें नियमों की प्रभुताई। पांचों देव नियम अनुसार करें जगत के सभी विकार। Let's recite our Vedic mantras also. The peace prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo yo nah prachodayat. Asto ma satgamya, tamso ma jyotirgamya, mrityor ma amritam gamya. Om sehna vavtu, sehna bhunaktu, seh viryam karvavahi, tejasvi navadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahi. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. So any question before we start our Astavakra Gita studies? So we are on chapter
from yesterday class or no?
Is it a small one, simple one?
Very small, very small. One? Yeah, I did Tratak. तो एक आंख से तो पानी निकलना शुरू हो गया और दूसरे से नहीं निकला. So should you
continue?
So keep continue both eyes open or should you close?
No, open.
Open. Okay. All right. Good.
Open. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, practice more.
Thanks.
Okay. So chapter 17, verse number 15. सुखे दुखे नरे नार्यम, संपत्सु च विपत्सु च, विशेषाः न एव धीरस्य, सर्वत्र समदर्शिना. Sukh is in happiness, dukhe in misery, nare a person or a man, naryam woman, sampatsuhu in fortune, vipatsuhu in misfortune. Vishesha, difference. Na ev, not indeed. Dhirasya, the wise one. Sarvatra, everywhere. Samdarshina, seeing the same. The wise one who sees the same everywhere sees no difference between happiness and misery, man and woman, fortune and misfortune. So under all conditions, happiness and misery, among all beings, men or women, among all conditions of arrangement of things, fortune or misfortune, So man of perfection. So Dhir is a man of perfection, is ever rooted in his own self. So his main attention is in the soul, in the self, or in the God. And that's why he never gets disturbed. Because normally we say that, oh, this person disturbed me, that condition disturbed me, that place disturbed me. So a wise person, or a person who has really transformed, no condition, no time, no place, no person is the cause of disturbance. Because he's rooted in that which never gets changed. It's always the same. So the outer objects, from here we should understand the outer objects by themselves cannot disturb us. We just become weak and we let them disturb us. And mind really cannot create restlessness by itself. We just let the mind loose. It creates restlessness. When the mind comes in contact with the worldly objects and reacts, only then the storms arise in our mind. So the mind reacts because of our vasanas, because we react because of our vasanas, our subtle impressions. So the mind reacts because of the vasanas in the mind. So the perfect person, a dhir person, did the sadhana, that vasanas have been controlled or even extinguished. And that wise person is totally absorbed in the self. So the man of perfection is one who has emptied his mind of all its vasanas. Okay, and vasanas they come into the surface in the form of memories. Those are the vasanas. We just keep on remembering the old things. And we always remember the old things, the painful events. That person said that to me 10 years ago. We forget all about good things the person did or said, but one small thing bad somebody said, we just keep on remembering it. And that's how the restlessness in the mind happens. Or even in our life also, there's so many good events happened. So many beautiful situations came about, but we remember the painful ones. And we disturb our mind. So the serene, tranquil mind of the liberated person can no longer react with the world around. That's what it means. It has become a true instrument. That person still has that instrument, but an instrument who is under the control of that person, not the other way around. So the wise one is never blind to the source from which his thoughts arise. The ignorant person is never conscious of the source. So in other words, wise one has a clarity. An ignorant person is confused. So he is continuously well established in the source. The consciousness of the self. Even while playing in the world of polarity. So in his deep wisdom, he knows all this is just a play of the Supreme, nothing else. It's a Leela. Okay. So this verse should be understood only with reference to the state of the self. Do not quote this verse as your excuse for your base, vulgar, immoral life in the community. I am the Atma. I am not doing anything. No, it's not an excuse. Okay, remember that. न हिंसा न एव कारुण्यम न उद्वितम न च दीनता न आश्चर्यम न एव च क्षोभा क्षीण संसरणे नरे. न हिंसा, no violence. It's not just a physical violence, even a desire to harm somebody. No means not. Ev is surely karunyam, mercy, compassion. Udvyatam, pride. Deenata, humility. Na ascharyam, no wonder. Kashobha, agitation. Kashin samsarnehe, whose worldly life is exhausted. Nare, in that person. In the man whose worldly life is exhausted, there is neither compassion nor violence, neither humility nor pride, neither wonder nor agitation. So the illumined one, in his own vision of the infinite peace, does not react at the levels of his body, mind, and intellect. Okay? So even when he is acting compassionately, he is not reacting, he is acting, and his attention is always towards inward, toward his self. Because even when we are trying to be compassionate towards others, what are we trying to do? We want to look more compassionate. We want others to know we are compassionate. Okay, so this kind of a person will do what needs to be done without any kind of a disturbance or arrogance internally. That's what he's trying to tell us. He's not saying that he's not compassionate, but he doesn't react. And he knows whatever he's acting with, that is not him. If he's lifting somebody else up, he's not the body. If he's feeding somebody, giving somebody something, he knows nothing is mine. Because he's really behaving from that very high level of awareness. So his body, mind are functioning in the world, but he is always absorbed in himself. So he's like a witness to it all. And that's why he's called a Jivan Mukta. So he's not personally involved in the activities. He is no he and him. So unique. And he is a law all to himself. He cannot be compared with the people like us. Of course, we need to be like that. But right now, where we are, it's hard to even imagine this kind of a person. Okay? न मुक्तः विषये द्वेष्टा न व विषये लोलुपः असंक्त मनः नित्यं प्राप्त प्राप्तम उपाश्रते. न मुक्तः, not the liberated one. Vishya dveshtaha, has aversion for the objects of the senses. Vishya lolupaha, craving for the objects of senses. So lolupta, that's like a lalach, cravings. Also sankta manaha, with a detached mind. Nityam, ever. Prapt, what is attained. Apraptam, what is not attained. Upashrite, enjoys. The liberated one has neither aversion nor craving for the objects of the senses. Ever with a detached mind, he experiences both what is attained and what is not attained. So likes and dislikes, aversion and cravings, love and hate, these are the emotions which we feel all the time. But this wise person, this Jivan Mukta, these emotions cannot reach his heart. He has a total sense of detachment from these dualities. He has freed himself from all the sense of attachment. So no aversion, no attachment. No longing for it, no thinking that I should stay away from it. He's not running away and he's not running after. So with a mind detached from all direct involvements, he lives through life, meeting with all that comes to him unasked in divine freedom. So this person is still living, still eating, still talking, but in a detached manner. So mind is always totally free and totally attached to the divinity. Okay. So in other words, he meets life directly, head on, accepting nothing, avoiding nothing. And his tranquility is never disturbed. And that's what we have to look at. See, these are the milestones we are learning in our progress of this path. So milestones. So we are not totally there, but still we should see, are we more tranquil than before or not? Or things throws us off, a small little thing? Or can we still stay focused and undisturbed? Undisturbed. Okay, so this is not just to read about some of these lessons, some of these effects on a wise person which we are learning. We should see that how much far away we are or how close we are to this. So next verse he says, Samadhan, asamadhan, hit ahit vikalpana, शून्य चितः न जानाति कैवल्यम इव संस्थिता. समाधान असमाधान, hit ahit, and vikalpana. Vikalpana is like a mental disturbance or mental fluctuation. So the mental alternatives of contemplation and non-contemplation. Samadhan, asamadhan. That's a contemplation, non-contemplation. Hit and ahit means good and evil. Shunya chitta, the empty mind, or a wise person. Janati, knows. Kavalyam, in the state of aloneness. Iv means as it were. Samsthita, abiding. The wise man of empty mind. Empty mind means no disturbance. The mirror of the mind is completely clean. No color on it. So the wise person of empty mind does not know the mental alternatives of contemplation and non-contemplation, and of good and evil. So in other words, he doesn't give the colors to those. We say this is good and this is evil. Need to contemplate on that and non-contemplation about that. He just looks at it the way it is. He abides, as it were, in the state of aloneness, kavalyam. He sees only the Atma. So in other words, when he looks at the tree outside or the flowers outside or the snake outside, what will he see? The God in that person too. God in everything, with that kind of a mind. So an ordinary person, as an intelligent being, like we are, we can never remain without thoughts. Thoughts keep on churning. We either think or we sleep. Even the part of the sleeping, we are still thinking. when we are dreaming. But pure wise person is experiencing the dynamic state of thoughtlessness. No thought. Bring the thoughts only when they are needed. This is not experienced by an average person, thoughtlessness. And that's why people have even after 10 hours of sleep, very tired. And tiredness is from the mental churning. Either they were trying to sleep, or while sleeping, the majority of the time they were dreaming and mind was still working. So thoughtlessness did not happen. So but the wise person left to himself has no thoughts in him. Other mental alternatives, samadhan, asamadhan, or right and wrong. This is wrong, this is right. We are constantly churned with that. Or beautiful and ugly for him, this is all divine play. Whether it's a heat and the cold, joy and sorrow, he is unattached to the world, and as such the world cannot in the least affect him. The world, we get affected with the world because we are too much attached to the world. And how do we get attached? With our mind. The whole play is a mind's play. So it is only in the lower relative plane a person suffers from his mental agitations. So to the realized, there is no mental disturbance at all. So watch your mind. Several times a day, watch your mind. What is it doing? We watch our phone all the time. Any message, any likes. We should watch our mind more than we watch our phone. Okay? So the realized, there's no mental disturbance at all. He is beyond the beyond. In the Vedas, the term is used for this kind of a person, paratpara. He is beyond the beyond. He abides in the aloneness of the absolute one reality. See, that's the reason the Gurus say, recite that mantra. That recitation of the mantra is not to gain some fruits in this world. The recitation of the mantra all the time, shwas shwas mein japna, that really means detach from the world and attach to God. And once we learn how to attach to God, then sure, there shouldn't be any other thoughts. But our worldly mind thinks, oh, I am doing so many mantras. I should gain something with that. Whether my kids should go to medical college, or they should get married, or they should have the children, or whatever. Or even lottery. Should win the lottery. So we have really brought even God's name into this worldly filth. God's name is supposed to take us up from this worldly filth. Okay? So remember, parat, para. We got to move beyond the beyond. Because normally we say what is beyond? The swarag is beyond. But beyond the beyond is what? Moksha. That's what Jivan Mukti is. Nirmamaha, nirahankara, na kinchit iti nishchita, antargalit sarvashaha kurvan api karotina. Nirmama, devoid of myness. Nirahankara, devoid of I-ness. See, myness, what belongs to me? I, who I am. Nirmama, nirahankara. Na kinchit, not anything. Iti means thus, nishchita, knowing with certainty. There was a whole chapter where this nishchita word was repeated again and again. Knowing with certitude. Very important, because we know it, but we don't know it with a certitude. We know God is everywhere. We have heard that. We have read that. But with certainty, we don't, because that's why we keep on hurting others. Or we get hurt ourselves also. When we know it with a certitude, then these emotions won't disturb us. Antar galit sarvashaha, with all desires melted away from within. It is not from outside. Antar galit. We don't have to throw our things out. We have to clean our inner mind. Antargalit, sarvasha, all desires, asha, sarv asha, all desires. Kurvan, doing. Api means though, kroti, does. Na means not. Over here, this kroti means only appears to do. Okay? Because we see this kind of a person is eating also, wearing clothes also, sometimes running a business, or it could be running a country also, but still, kurvan api karoti na. Devoid of the feelings of I-ness and mindness, knowing for certain that nothing is, and with all his inner desires melted away. Okay? And how did it happen? By doing a selfless service, because that is one of the ingredients to raise our personality to this level, selfless service. So that's why our gurus, our great teachers, they tell us, make sure every week or every day, some kind of a selfless service, so that we can reach here. That's why they tell us, with all his inner desires melted away, the wise person does not act, though he may appear to be acting. Appear to be acting means body is acting. Body is doing what needs to be done, but without any I am doing it. Or I want this after I do this. That I-ness and mindness has been melted away. And this is in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna called it akaram. So that doesn't mean the action is being done, not being done. Action is being done very skillfully, very beautifully, but as a akarmi. Okay, so the liberated person is one in whom, in other words, the ego has ended. That's another way we can look at it. Ego has ended. See, ego functions in two ways in our personality. We read it again and again. Ego sense, which is experienced as the I-ness, and the ego feeling experienced as mindness. Okay, so these are the nirmama, nirankara. And when these two are ended, the ego has been lifted away. And very source of the ego is what? Desires. So they're all related. So in the man of perfection, the ego is ended along with its roots. So that's why Astavakra, Rishi Astavakra ji is clarifying for us, with all his inner desires melted away. So that means all the roots. So the mool, it has become a nirmool, no roots. So egoless activities are no more actions for that person. Okay. So always remember, when we are very active, impulse for action is a desire. I'm sitting over here. If the desire arises, I need to have something to eat, action will be there. Okay. And any other action also we do because of these desires. So the actor is the ego. When there's no actor, nor the impulse of desire, what happens? There are only movements in the equipments. Movement is happening. Equipment is the body, equipment is the mind, equipment is the intellect. Movement is happening, but not the action or the effect of that action. They can produce no result to the man of liberation because there's no ego to claim it. Ego has been transcended. Okay, so in this sense, liberated one has a life which is considered God in action. God in action. Last verse of this chapter. After that, if you want to ask any question about this chapter, that will be okay. And then we'll start the next chapter. Manaha prakash sammoha swapana jadye vivarjita the sham kam api sampraptah bhavet galit manasa. Manaha prakash sammoha swapan jadye vivarjita. The functions of his mind have ceased to operate. Vivarjita. Who is free from delusion, samoha, swapan, dreaming, jadye, dullness. Or another way you can look at is a person whose mind has risen above the tamsikta, rajsikta, satvikta even. See, jadye is tamsikta, swapan is rajsikta over here, samoha. Okay, and prakash is satvikta. So it has risen above that. So functions of the mind have ceased, vivarjita. The sham, condition, kam, api, indescribable. Sampraptaha, attains. Galit manasaha, whose mind has melted away. An indescribable state is attained by the sage whose mind has melted away. Its functions having ceased to operate, and who is free from delusion, dreaming, and dullness. So in the last 19 verses, Rishi Astavakra was trying to explain to us the condition of the mind of a wise person, a liberated person while living. But now he is confessing over here in this verse that this state of selfhood cannot be described in words. The sham kam api samprapta. So it's indescribable. So he says, I have talked about it, I'm trying to explain it to you, but words cannot describe the state of a mind of this kind of a person. But he tried to paint the picture for us. He has given us many signposts. So these signposts for us are we need to contemplate where we are. It's almost like a direction for us. Otherwise, we don't know where are we going. Sometimes we feel so detached and we think maybe we are tamasic. Or we are not involved in the world. But we got to look within. Are we peaceful? Can we do what we need to do it beautifully at that time or not? Without feeling the I-ness and the minus. So that's why I said these are the signposts he suggested to us. Because we are all moving towards that beautiful state. But in the liberated one, his mind is completely dissolved. So not even sattva expresses through it. And that's what we are learning in Bhagavad Gita in that 14th chapter. Rajas that creates delusion and dreams has departed. And tamas, which veils the intellect, has been pulled out. Because tamas veils the intellect. That means the clarity is not there. Whenever we are, our thinking is foggy. That's a tamsikta. When there's a agitation, that's a rajsikta. Okay, so that's why rajas is considered the projection and the imagination. Pure apprehension is gone when there's a rajsikta, and then the misapprehension happens when there's a tamsikta. It is, and we think it's something different. But when these two factors are controlled through sadhana, the sattva predominates in mind. So sadhana brings more and more satvikta, and it's make it more and more contemplative. But in the zenith of our meditation, when the last traces of rajas and tamas have ended, then sattvic mind also transcends by itself. That's where the merger happens. So our effort is to stay sattvic, to bring more sattvikta, but sattvikta will transcend by itself with the help of our sadhana. Okay? Because if we think that, no, I don't want to be sattvic because that's also a bondage, then if we think that way, pretty soon we'll be rajasic, and in no time we'll be tamasic. So our effort should be to stay sattvic, and with the grace of God, with the blessings of the Guru, we just transcend that sattvikta also. And only then the Maya is crossed, avidya is ended, and pure wisdom is there, and that wise person is reveling in that pure wisdom. Okay? So that's why he says, how can we really describe this kind of a person? We really cannot. Words are, they fall short. They are limited. Okay? Language stammers and becomes silent. Okay? So this chapter ends over here. Next chapter is chapter 18. See, just like in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, the longest chapter, and almost like a summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita. In this book also, in Astavakra Gita also, chapter 18 is the longest chapter. Okay? And over here, he's going to explain the goal to us. So, but before we start that, any question? Any comment? Anything you did not understand it?
Hersh, this is Raj. Question about duality. It came in one of the shlokas. Is that between the body and Atma, or between Atma and Paramatma?
No, that duality is always the conditions in this Prakriti. Dukh and Sukh, Garmi and Sardi. That is the duality. Okay? Man, Apman. Love, hate. Good time, bad time. So this is always about the Prakriti, duality.
So what's the Hindi word for duality?
Dvand.
Dvand.
Dvand. Pairs. It's called pairs of opposite.
Okay.
Right? If one day we are healthy, the other day we are sick. Happy, unhappy. Rich, poor. Okay, Dvand. Dvands are always about the Prakriti.
Thank you.
Okay. So I know where you are getting confused because we talk about the soul and the Paramatma also, or soul of the God and the Prakriti also. That's not called duality now. Okay. Duality word is always used for the Prakriti. In Prakriti, we have a duality. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Somebody else?
Nishi.
Yes, Nishi.
With yourself. Yes, thank you, Hershji. It's a great chapter, and I was thinking if we can request you, as you have suggested at the end of every chapter, or we need to contemplate and think, where am I? and how, I can take advantage of this. So you talked about the signposts. If, you could just give us some signposts that we can think for, like it would be almost like a summary, or just some signposts can be, look at our life and compare it to that and see that this is our goal really.
Yeah. Signposts, for us, the signpost could be watch your mind. Every hour, if you can watch your mind, your waking hours, is it peaceful or is it disturbed? And take a note of it. Write it down. You don't have to show it to anybody, but to write it down. 12 o'clock. What is my mind saying? Is it disturbed? Then whenever mind is disturbed, reflect upon it. Why is it disturbed? Because in this chapter, he said very clearly, it's because of the desires, because of the I-ness and the mindness. So with the help of all the knowledge which we have gained in this chapter, reflect upon it and check where you are. Okay, if every hour is too difficult, I would say at least do it 4 times a day. Doesn't take that long. Watch your mind more, because the real game is being played with the mind. We watch other things. We watch our stove, whether we have turned it off or not. We look at our thermostat, or as I said earlier, our phone. Watch your mind more, because the real journey is the journey of our mind. Okay, and if it's not calm, why it's not calm? Okay, and then try to see, is it really worth it to create the agitation? Because of the agitation, I forget who I am. Is it really worth it? This is the contemplation we need to do. That's how I personally use this chapter. That my milestones, how far I have come. Okay.
Actually, one more thing you had said, when you do the action, ask yourself, what I missed that a little bit. Can we do the needful with what?
The actions when we do, don't take it too personally. Atma is not doing the actions. Prakriti is doing the actions. And we are not the Prakriti. Become a witness from time to time. Watch what's happening, rather than lose yourself in the action.
Very nice.
Okay, because we lose ourselves. When we are too engrossed in the action, we just lose ourselves. Always remember who you are, even while doing the action. Okay? Yes, Jyoti.
Thank you.
Poonam, you have to unmute yourself. Hersh,
yes,
the whole I think the whole book in a way is only talking about the inside working of this wise man.
Yeah.
So then is there any way to figure out from the actions if there is that kind of wisdom in that person, or the actions don't count at all of that, because we cannot figure out if this person is that kind, because his actions won't tell the whole story. Only his inside is working on a different I think in a different way than most of us. So his actions won't tell us whether he is a Jivan Mukta or is not, because he's working from entirely different plane.
Yeah. Yeah, so we should not, first of all, we really cannot judge, and we are not supposed to judge.
No, not judge. But let's say, can we see if this person
No.
From his actions we can tell, right? That was my question.
No.
From the actions we will never be able to tell if this person has reached that state or not, or if, you know, if we are looking at somebody to follow, we cannot, because the actions don't make any difference.
Yeah,
that's
right. That's right. We got to, ultimately, this whole chapter is about ourselves.
Yeah.
Ourselves. And the actions which we are doing, our personal actions, we got to just definitely do our duties, but then get detached from the outcome. Do the duties properly. Mainly the actions don't bind us. The fruit of the action binds us. Or the desire of a certain kind of an outcome binds us. So the whole chapter, whole book is about ourselves, not about somebody else. See, that's why Janakji also said, when the Guru was testing him, that you live in this palace, you have the wives, you have the wealth. And his answer was, they don't mean anything to me. According to the Prarabdha, I am here. So he knew. Okay, so what we got to learn from this, we should not judge others. We got to just look at ourselves. But if we want to know whether we are following the right person or not, because at our level we need a teacher, we need a guru. And sometimes that also, we just look at a person, what that person is wearing, what that person eats or not, where he is living. Sometimes we just start to judge that this person is a better guru, that person, that this guru will fulfill all my worldly desires. Gurus are not to fulfill our worldly desires. Guru is the one who is giving us knowledge, taking us out of this worldly mesh. So how do we know that who is our guru? Who is giving us the knowledge? Is there some kind of a change happening in us or not? Because we are not at the position where we can judge a guru. So we got to just keep on getting the knowledge and keep on practicing and keep on moving higher and higher. That's what we are supposed to do. Okay. So Poonam, you are right. I mean, we cannot know the other person. We shouldn't even try to know the other person. Get less and less internally involved with somebody else's story. Our own story is pretty complicated. Why we want to make it more complicated with somebody else? We are here to simplify or clean our own mind. So we don't want to know other people's. See, sometimes people say, oh gosh, with the yogic power, can we read somebody's mind?
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, I always say, why you want to read somebody's mind? Isn't yours dirty enough? Sure, with the yogic power you can. Sure, that there is a system, but why you want to do that? I don't want to.
Why even go to the palmist to see your future?
Even that also. That's right. Even that also, because that's how we make our life more complicated.
Yeah.
Whatever is in front of you, do the best of your capability, remembering God and remembering what the goal is.
My question, it came because I was thinking up till the Sattvic level, it translates into the actions of the person. So all the actions become Sattvic, good, whatever. But when you have transcended that part, then the actions don't matter at that time. What actions are from our level, we can then.
We cannot.
That was my question actually.
Yeah, we are still under the entanglement of these gunas.
Yeah.
Okay, so this kind of a person, Jivan Mukt, is beyond that. Okay. Yes, Jyoti.
Thank you, Hersh.
Manju Malhotra has a question. Manju,
yes, Manju.
Yes, Hersh, namaste.
Namaste.
But Hersh, a person, a yogi who has reached that stage, hopefully those all his actions, though he's not trying to he only does it one way while he is connected with the Supreme. And wouldn't it be just yoga karmishu kaushlam anyway? They will be perfect actions. They won't be the kind that will hurt someone and, you know.
But sometimes you have to hurt somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Lord Krishna told Arjuna to kill your own guru also. Because sometimes the time could be like that. Call of the time to do something which is contrary to the goodness which you learned earlier. Our Dronacharya, he asked for a thumb from Eklavya. So there are a lot of stories like that also.
But the Dronacharya ji...
no, he was just an acharya. I'm just giving you that example. Yeah, he was not really a realized. Yeah, he was a teacher. He had a lot of other issues going on. But sometimes people, you will see that even a realized person will, from our eyes, we can say that, my God, this is so bad. Or even the story we read about Ramchandra ji.
Ramchandra, I was going to say that he just...
Ramchandra ji, everybody talks about that. He just, people just like to, on one hand, they worship him. On the other hand, they don't stop pointing fingers at him. Whether it was a Sita, about Sita, Agni Priksha or anything else, or about that Vali, what? Okay, so we are not there where we can judge others, and we should not try to judge anybody. But sure, more so, a person who has reached to that level, the actions will be universal to help the society. To help the society, to help somebody. Selfishness won't be there, definitely. But sometimes we really don't know how to check it out because we are not there yet. Exactly. We don't have those eyes. We don't have that kind of a wisdom. We don't even have a full story. We even forget our story. How can we know somebody else's story? Right? So that's why all this, what we are learning, we got to first apply it in our own life and cultivate more and more clarity. Okay? But I'm glad you guys are thinking it deeply. That's the whole idea of meeting every day over here. You know? So anybody else? I don't think we have time to start the next chapter today.
No, many.
Right? But let me tell you, in the next chapter, there will be some Vedic assertions. I want you to write them down. I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahma. I am Atma Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. Atma ev jagat sarvam. The universe is nothing but the self. So these are the kind of teachings. Let me repeat it again. First one I said, I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. Atma ev jagat sarvam. This universe is nothing but the self. There are 100 verses in this chapter. We will see these verses, 100 verses in this chapter, they'll be echoing and re-echoing like this. Okay? Phrases like Niras, Nirsabhav, Niryas. So these are some of the terms you're familiar, but some of these, when I read something like this, to me, it just gives goosebumps. That, gosh, what a great way of thinking. This is all Brahma. What is there to be afraid of? Right? Gives us assurance, gives us a lot of peace and consolation. Okay? So, I think I should stop. I've been told from more than one person that I talk too much. So
we didn't tell you. Your favorite student.
No, you guys don't tell me.
lot of knowledge. Wasn't us.
Just kidding. No, you guys don't. Okay, all right. So, Manny, if you can.
Sometimes we can only be shut up by you. No more argument.
No more arguments. That's right. But it's really nice to have you guys every day in the classes. It's a pleasure teaching students like you. Yes. Okay. So let's